check to say, on Zoom, can you hear us?
On Zoom, can you hear us? Test, test.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you guys on Zoom hear us? Yes, good. Test, test.
Good afternoon and welcome to Rotary. I'm Katie Crockett. I'm your president-elect. Mike is out of town today. Our invocation today is going to be given by Russ Swain. There you are. You don't need that.
Yeah. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see everyone. I am grateful that you asked me to be of service today. Today, let us pray and to be of service in the Rotary way, service above self. So God, this morning this afternoon, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I will help of the power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. In Rotary way, amen.
Our song leader is Jamie Goldsmith.
So in honor of my new haircut, I'd like to sing Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. I'm joking. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. podium.
Thank you, Jamie. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I want to thank the people that helped us today. Setup and greeters, Kathy Mahan, sorry, that's on there wrong. David Jones, Jamie Goldsmith, Barbara Castro. Sergeant in Arms today is David Jones. Raffle ticket sales, Marie Walsh. Tear down today, John Pally and Susan Ziobro. Song leader, Jamie Goldsmith. Russ, who did our invocation. The paparazzi today, Susan Ziobro is our scribe, and Jim Tucker is our photographer today. Do we have visiting Rotarians today? I don't see any. Do we have guests of Rotarians? Nobody brought a guest? Okay.
I would like to introduce Antoinette Monroe, and she's been here 3 times and just submitted her application for membership.
Hello, thank you all for having me again. I'll be back next week. Once again, Antoinette Monroe. I'm with Coldwell Banker Premier Realty. It's kind of a second career for me. My background is operations management. I previously directed operations for the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, also a Henderson-based developer. And I hear that you vote on my membership, so vote for me.
Welcome. Do we have any other guests today? Darby.
Karen Airport, and I'll introduce the speaker.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have a ton of announcements today. I heard from Jerry Engel, who asked me to mention that he's heard from Michael Williams in Romania, and he is deeply grateful for the support that he's received from everybody in the club. Jim Tucker, you have an announcement? I have you down here.
Well, you guys remember Gloria Allen? Well, I donate to the foundation this week in her memory. Unfortunately, we have good members like that that have passed away, and we don't have the chance to celebrate them. And so that's what I do.
Thank you for that. Bob, you were looking for money for the foundation, so there you go. Tony, do you want to talk about? Yeah, there you go. You keep it. Tony, do you want to make an announcement about Books and Buddies?
Thank you. I'm gonna go back. We've just received more formalized notification that anyone that is interested in signing up for the Books and Buddies program as a returning mentor, let me know if you're interested and I will provide you with the link. If you are going to be a new mentor, we need to talk and get you in contact with the people that spread the word, because there is training for new mentors coming up in early October. Of the 6 mentor centers that we have only 2 of the 6 opening in the month of October. That's Robert Taylor. And those sessions are 8:30 to 12:30. So it's morning sessions available Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So if you're new or returning and want to go to that school, come see me or send me an email and we'll get you squared away. Jack Daly is also the second school that's opening on October 11th. They're more of a midday to afternoon from 11:30 to 3 o'clock are the time slots. And they're on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. For our favorite school, Will Beckley, which is our adopted school, right now they're hoping to open up in January, but it's dependent on the number of mentors available. So that means if you want to sign up for that school, you still sign up now so that they can get a head count and see if it's feasible. The Andrews Foundation, which is the sponsor family for the Mentor Center, has committed themselves to the donation, so it should be opening. So Beckley is January and dependent on the number of sponsors. So come see me or send me an email and I'll get you all situated. The same is true of Bertha Ronzoni, opening in January, same conditions dependent. CC Ronau is also a January opening, again, dependent on the number of people signing up. And at this point in time, for those of you that just want to know, are vaccines required? The answer is no. That could change depending upon CCSD, but masks will be required. So whatever you need to know, come see me. And also, if you were returning and you have your CCSD name badge, it's got to be renewed. Come see me about that or send me an email.
Thanks, Tony. Where's Kathy Mahan? Oh, there you are. Okay. Do you want to talk about the schools and the envelopes?
On your tables, some of the tables have a white envelope and some have a brown one. And we're collecting money to buy Halloween candy for schools because Bracken and Beckley both want Halloween candy for their students. And so we're just collecting money for that. And then we'll be buying candy to put in a trunk for trunk or treat or whatever at the schools. Also, we're doing the trees for schools. The first one will be planted at Deering, and it'll have a plaque for it for Michael. And the second one may be at Bracken. And the other thing we're doing is collecting costumes for Halloween. If anybody has some leftover Halloween costumes, ghost or clown or whatever, the schools are kind of in desperate need for Halloween costumes. So if you want to bring anything in, we'll take it over to the schools. I think Deering in particular needs them, and Hollingsworth needs them. Whoever, we have 6 schools, we need costumes. And that's about all I have time to report this morning, but thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Is Brian Sorrentino here? Will you go back to Tony then, please? She can talk about concourse.
Oh, good.
Sorry you have to hear from me again. Concord Delegates, time is running out. We've got some great things happening. One is we need volunteers. And the sign up for volunteers is both in the Green Book, but it's also on the QR code that goes through our Sign Up Genius. We're opening it up to all clubs in the district in Southern Nevada, hoping we get volunteers. The best part about it is not only it will be fun, but if you volunteer, you get a ticket for general admission, which is a $100 value. And the signups are in the areas of traffic control. You don't have to have law enforcement background or traffic control background. They'll tell you what to do. Load crew has to do with the bringing in and the onboarding of all the cool collector item, one-of-a-kind cars. There's car class hosts where you get to hang out in a certain area with a particular class, and hospitality VIP. There's openings on Friday the 22nd and on Saturday the 23rd, the day of the event. But volunteer, you get a free ticket. You're doing service, having fun, and sign up.
And we have a QR code as well to buy tickets, and Rotary gets $30 for every ticket that somebody buys off of that QR code. So that's Greg McGuire. Talk about the Aviators game.
Well, thanks for a moment here. We had raised about, I think, a whole $200, but that was pretty good. But the most important part was we hosted 100 airmen and airwomen from Creech and their families, and they had a fantastic time. They really did. The amount of people that were there, They brought their chairs. The USO was there. They had box lunches. Everybody had a great game, great time beforehand and then into the game. Many thanks to the aviators, the USO, and everybody that participated. Thank you.
The pictures in the wheel look like you guys had fun. Tina, do you want to talk about the new member orientation?
Yes, we had new member orientation. We had close to 30 people. I think it was 28, something like that. Fabulous food, and everybody got oriented at Bob Werner's house. Thank you very much, Bob. It was fabulous.
Tonight we have the Angel Awards presentation. The Las Vegas Rotary Foundation won the Best Foundation Award. It's at 6 o'clock at the Westgate Hotel. Jim Hunt, we're going to talk about the Cigar Social.
Thank you, past president, president-elect, and soon to be president again. Katie, we're looking forward to your leadership next year. Really good to see you at the podium again already. Yeah, tomorrow night, as all of you know, the weather has gotten really nice. It's gotten better during the day and it's beautiful at night. We're going to be at Kirk Holmes and Becca Holmes's home tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. There's a sign-up sheet going around for the Cigar Social. This is our 22nd Cigar Social. It should be a really nice night. Kirk's going to cook some tri-tip. We're going to, as always, bring 3 cigars, 1 for the troops, 1 to exchange, and 1 to smoke. It's going to be a great time. BYOB, your favorite drink. And if you have culinary experience, if you want to bring a side dish, that's great. I want to thank Janice Lenke again, because she gave us so many prizes for the Creech Cigar Social a few months ago that we still have some we'll give away tomorrow night. Karen Wisenhunt has donated some gifts. Tom Krob made it possible to us to order some nice gifts. And also Bill Houghton gave us a humidor that has the Rotary logo on it. So whether you're a cigar smoker or not, come join us for a nice social tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Thanks.
Thank you. Highway cleanup. Is Jerry Senes here? No. Okay. October 2nd, 8 a.m. and brunch to follow at Jerry's home. Tom, do you want to talk about the Blue Heron experience? The home tour?
Sure, if you'll remind me the date of the Blue Heron experience.
October 21st.
So Blue Heron, a local development company. It's Tyler Jones, who many of you grew up in Las Vegas, know Bart and Steve Jones, who have another incredible home building company. Merlin built homes for the Fertitta family, Marlin family, the Wynn family, the Bennett family. So this home that we're going to tour recently sold for a record price in Nevada, built by Blue Heron. And it's 3 stories, 4 bars, because I guess you can't get enough of that. But we're limited to 20 people. So this is rather exclusive. It's first come, first serve, sign up. And we're going to tour it in the evening to watch the sunset, because it's way up high in McDonald's Highlands and literally has about a 250-degree view of the valley, which will be spectacular at night.
Thank you. Looking forward to that. Susan Ziobro has an announcement for the 25 Club.
Got the wrong thing. This flyer is over by your badge boxes. If this flyer is over by your badge boxes, you're asking me to do things with 2 hands at the same time. And also there's a flyer if you want to give it to any friends who live out of town who won't be able to get tickets from you. That's the one with the QR code, and they can purchase those tickets on our club website. There is a charge that will come off the top of the ticket when they do that, but that's better than no ticket purchased at all for your out of town friends. I have a sign up sheet if you want to get a block of tickets. I have those also over by the badge boxes as well. The 25 Club will have a meeting this coming Thursday, the 7th of October at Arlene Sirrah's house. And I will give Sean some information to send out with her weekly email. Please, I hope you're all thinking of coming. It's a great time. You don't have to be a 25 Club member to attend. That's always going to be the first Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. And thank you all for joining in with the highway cleanup this weekend too.
Thank you. Nikki Bates, are you here? Somebody told me that you just got elected to the Shakespeare Festival Board.
Yes, I did, and I'm super excited.
Good, that's really exciting, and I think it's cause for a fine.
Well, now I'm not so excited anymore.
Oh, well, we're excited for you,
Thank you.
and we appreciate your contribution to the foundation.
You got it, Katie.
So we're going to take a few minutes, enjoy your lunch. Sean just reminded me that if you have not picked up your roster, she has copies, so you can pick them up on your way out. Thanks.
House.
Oh. Hello? Yeah, okay, how'd you make out? But did he pay you? Oh, excuse me, he did not pay you? Oh, Christine, I mean, shh, all right, I'm looking out for your welfare, that's all. I mean, you went all the way to New York. Okay, go ahead. Christine, all right, so, all right, okay, so, yeah, at that place across the street. Yeah. No. Christine, he called me, he said, do you want to meet at that place? I said, okay, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it's what? Christine, it's okay. Wait, did you check in the hotel yet? Oh, did you see him on, have you seen him on? Yeah. Oh, so you just cross the street to go to Saks, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, don't worry, just have a good time. Yeah, all right, but like I say, what about Madison? Yeah, well, Montana called me, she landed and all that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, okay, well, you have a good time, and like I said, yes, Christine, okay, just someone, I mean, I have my phones with me. You call anytime. Yeah. Oh, okay, all right, okay, all right, bye.
Going to go ahead and do the raffle. The amount today, I think, was $1,956 before your contributions today. And our speaker, Chris Jones, has picked a ticket. And the number is 8122946. Gwen. Don't go away. You do get $10. You got your money back. So we'll tear this ticket up and the pot will roll over till next week. Oh. Sorry, I'm glad you're awake. The Lowry Bucks ticket is 8123052. Kirk. There you go. Good. You're welcome. Thank you.
I always take the opportunity.
All right. Okay. Tarby Bryant is going to come up and introduce our speaker, Chris Jones.
So our speaker today at the Rotary Club of Las Vegas is not Rosemary, but is Chris Jones, the marketing officer for Clark County for the Department of Aviation. He has an undergraduate degree from UNLV and a master's degree from Boise State. Before he was in the airport and airline business, he worked as a news reporter here in Las Vegas, covering tourism and gaming and banking. He is married. They live in Henderson. They have 4 children. Please join me in giving Chris Jones a big Rotary welcome.
Clicker. All right. Well, before I begin, growing up here, as Tarby mentioned, I hope this isn't a situation where you thought you were buying tickets to see Sinatra and then you got there and it was Frank Sinatra Jr. I apologize on behalf of Rosemary. She very much wanted to be here today. She's actually spoken to this group before. I think this is probably my 3rd or 4th time actually being at this Rotary with her and with the prior director, Randy Walker, coming in before. But I've always been the one, kind of like Christine, who's joining me today, sitting off to the side, watching someone else get up and speak. So today I get the honor. So again, I really appreciate you allowing us to have this opportunity to be here. We were talking at the table and talking about what a small town Las Vegas still is. So between talking with Katie and realizing just met her mother recently and the history that she has with the airport, a very small town. In the course of the awards that you were giving out, I heard the name Mike Ballard. I used to know Mike years ago. Jerry Senis's name came up. I went to school with Jerry's daughter for 8 years. Jerry actually is a realtor, sold me my first house about 20 years ago. Made a lot of money flipping that house a few years later when the market went crazy. I see David here in front of me. I've known David and his family for about 10 years. So it's just crazy how you can come into you think an unfamiliar setting and come in and find familiar faces and familiar names. So again, I appreciate the opportunity for everybody to be here. We'll start once we have the program available, but trying to give you an overview of the airport and where we're at today versus where we were prior to this wonderful COVID experience that we've all enjoyed so much. And if there's opportunity at the end, I'd be happy to take questions from each of you as well. So 1:30 is when we want to be done. Is that okay? All right. There we go. So you'll drive or, okay. All right, if you could go to the next slide. I'm going to stand back a little bit just so I can see over my shoulder. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Joker in the back. Where's the Joker? All right. So to start, I want to go back and talk about where we were as we rolled into 2020. And to do that, we need to tell the story of 2019. That was our busiest year ever in the history of this airport. This airport dates back since the county owned it to 1948. As we know, it existed prior to county ownership for about a decade prior to that. And we had never broken the total of 50 million passengers per year prior to 2019. We'd had 3 consecutive record high years. 2019, that photo you can see there with the showgirls and the guests, we actually did a celebration around the 18th or so of December of that year. And by the end of the year, we'd added another 1.5 million just in that last couple of weeks. So things were going extremely well for the airport. And as the airport goes, so goes Southern Nevada. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But we'd enjoyed some great successes. We brought in new service from a lot of far off destinations. That's actually part of what my role is at the airport, is to recruit new airlines. Never in my life did I think we would see nonstop flights from Tel Aviv. I got a phone call one day from a gentleman named Yoram El Grabi in New York, and he wanted to talk about bringing Tel Aviv service here, and I thought he was punking me. But ultimately, they came and they operated, and they did very, very well. We had Paris, we had Amsterdam, we had all sorts of things going on. And that bottom bullet point, I think, is a great point that many locals may not understand or appreciate, because we truly punch outside of our weight class. For a city this size, 2.5, 3 million people, we are not Los Angeles, we are not Chicago, we are not New York, but yet we are right there in the top 10 with the busiest airports in North America, not only in terms of passengers, but even more so in terms of operations, which is a takeoff or a landing. And the operations number is always inflated because of all the tour helicopters and the general aviation flights that come in as well. I'll get my water. Forgive me for that. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. We'd like to talk about the economic impact of what we had. So a couple of years back, we worked with a company out of the UK called Oxford Economics, and we went to them. We worked with the Nevada Jonas Peterson's group, the economic development company, and worked with them to get statistics and to get information to put forward, and came out with this number of almost $35 billion a year in annual impact. And beyond that, you can see on the screen there, 250,000 jobs. Again, these are 2018 figures that we reported in 2019. This is almost 1 in 4 jobs in Southern Nevada, either directly or indirectly derived from the money that comes in from those visitors that are spending through. And I don't need to tell all of you that. Each of you work in the business community. You have your respective fields. You understand these things. But it is something that I think we appreciate this in Las Vegas probably better than a lot of communities that maybe take the airport for granted. We've seen in the past when things dry up or when people don't come in, what that does to our own bottom lines, to our own cash reserves and all the things that we would do, because we know when these people come in, they're going to spend time, they're going to spend money, they're going to have a good time, but that's truly what drives our economy to the tune of about $35 billion. And looking at that, we had done another study a few years earlier in 2014, and it was only 25 billion at that point in time. So we saw significant growth over that very short period of time, again, driven by that growth of Las Vegas and the popularity that it has around the world. Next slide, please. This is a point I'd just like to drive in there. You see that crowd and you think about, what do those people do here? The money that they spend goes back into the local tax base, which then in turn goes back into schools, it goes back into roadways, it goes back into all the things that we enjoy as a quality of life without having to pay the taxes that people in other communities have to pay back to their states or to their local communities. So again, I always like to drive home the importance of what that airport means. We get noise complaints from time to time. And one of the responses we try to do without being too trite is, that's the sound of our economy moving. And you may not like the noise, having it, waking you up in the middle of the night or in the morning when you're coming in. But I think in Vegas, much more so than some other communities from peers that I've spoken with from elsewhere, we get that. We understand the importance of what that drives home. Next slide, please. So we went from this record high, 51.5 million people, 2019 ends, 2020 begins. We started off gangbusters. The first 10 weeks of that year, we were actually on pace to do better than we did in that record year of 2019. CES of 2020, that January, was phenomenal. Everything was moving along well. And then, as we all know, this little bug that you can see on the pictures there showed up. Those are actual pictures that I took probably April of last year. You walk through those areas. The top one, it's hard to see on the screen, but that's a ticketing lobby. And the bottom one is in the middle of Terminal 3 where the gates are at. And there was literally no one there. We never closed. We couldn't close. We were an essential service dedicated as such by the governor. But people, for obvious reasons, opted not to travel. And what you can see in that one bullet there, 152,716 people, that's the entire month of April. In 2019, that's not much higher than what our daily average was for the number of passengers going through the airport. We just released last week, and I'll show this on the upcoming slide, we just released our August numbers, 3.8 million people. I think at this time of year, we should be in a normal year north of 4, probably in the 4.3, 4.4 million range. So we're not quite back to where we were, but things are coming along. And the other thing that really personally hurt me, because I worked on this very hard along with a lot of other people in the community, was the loss of the international service. To get those flights is so competitive and so difficult to be able to move people through and to get that type of business to come in, the Tel Avivs, the Amsterdams, that took years to be able to get that. And then overnight, within the span of about 3-4 weeks, all of it was gone. Now, the good thing was Mexico has a different set of rules, and Mexico reopened in summer of last year, and they've done consistently well since then. The Canadians gave it a bit of a go last year, pulled back out. They weren't willing to come down at the level that would be viable to support the flights. But the Canadian businesses come back in June and July of this year really in earnest, and it will ramp up as we move into the fall. So as of right now, those are the two key markets that we have. The other piece that's been held back, I'll talk about in a few minutes with another slide, and we'll talk about why that's coming back now as well. Next slide, please. So this is a slide, I won't speak too much on this, but this is about 35 years worth of growth that you can see going back to 1985. And you can see some dips and some flat points. You had 9/11 and the aftermath of that, what it did to the industry. You had the recession that we all dealt with about a decade ago and where we came back from that. But what I love about this slide is it shows the resilience of Las Vegas. You can see that it didn't really matter what happened. We might have taken our lumps a small period of time, but we came back, and we came back quickly, and generally we came back stronger. So that dive at the end, obviously that's 2020. Hard fall from coming off a record year in particular, you're comparing a high to a low. But we are starting to see some signs of progress, which I'll show you on the next slide. So the color codes, the green is 2021. And you can see, especially the baby blue, the light blue that's in the middle, that April number, that 156, where we were barely breathing. It started to get a little bit busier in May. June is when the governor reopened the strip. I took my kids for a bike ride down the strip, and we have a photo of them lying down in the middle of Las Vegas Boulevard on a Friday night at 9 o'clock because you could. When else are you going to be able to do that? Hopefully never again, right? But it's great to see these numbers ticking back up. And the August number, the media sometimes, and I'm former media, so I can say this, Nixon could go to China and I can talk badly about the media. They talked about this huge dip that we had in August from July. Well, there's seasonality. Even in a normal year, your August numbers are going to slow down a little bit because people are going back to school. The other thing that I think is a bit misleading about August versus July of this year is, any of you who have flown Spirit Airlines are familiar with the meltdown that Spirit Airlines had at the beginning of the month of August. Dozens of daily cancellations for a period of about 10 days. And Spirit's our second largest carrier. So when you have your second largest carrier having a nationwide operational meltdown, you're going to see some loss of business from that. So I think that August number would be closer to July, but for this fact that Spirit had those problems that it did. September, we'll trend down a little bit in September. I'll talk about some of the reasons for that, why, in a moment. But it's still, compared to where we were a year ago, the fact that we could put a press release together that had a 4 in terms of the number, 4 million. At the very beginning of it, as opposed to some of these ones we were doing at the beginning of the year where it was 1.2, 1.5. We like the 4s. We're trending toward the 5s, and hopefully we'll get back to that point in a few years' time. Next slide, please. So how do we measure what's going on right now? We don't have the means of knowing how many people flew on a given day. We as the airport don't sell the tickets. The airlines do. And then even then, when they've sold the tickets, the airlines may have people that no show, or they may have people that are, for different reasons, crew flying or things like that. We don't get a daily metric in terms of what the performance would be, which is why you see those numbers I just presented on a monthly basis. But we do track things, some leading indicators. And one of the best leading indicators we have is the number of people that are going through the checkpoint with the TSA. So I'm able to get those numbers daily, and we're able to see, is it trending upward? Is it trending downward? Are we progressing in the manner that we want to progress? Are there any trends that we can identify? And one of the busiest things that we've noticed, again, is that Las Vegas, since June really of last year, when the governor reopened things, we have been at the forefront of the recovery in terms of air travel and really road travel as well. So that again speaks to the power of this brand and the importance of what Las Vegas is able to do around the world in terms of getting people to come in. Generally speaking, we are around 12 to 20, depending on the month, points ahead of the recovered percentage versus 2019. We've been in the 90%. It's slipped a bit into the high 80s in recent weeks, but generally speaking, we're at about 90%, give or take, of where we were in the comparable times in 2019. So again, comparing to a record year, that's nothing to sneeze at. The US numbers usually are in the mid 70s in terms of where they're at versus the comparable time frame in 2019. We don't even bother doing comparisons with 2020. There's just no point. Our busiest week since the recovery was, of course, right after the 4th of July. We had almost 430,000 passengers go through our checkpoints during that 7-day period. That was comparable to CES 2020, which was, again, a very, very high watermark for Las Vegas. So there's good news on the horizon. It's getting better. We're not quite there yet. I'll talk about why in a moment. This is another advanced leading metric that we look at. So what I'm proud to show is the one there you can see for the month of September. I know the font's a little small to read on the screen, but the dark maroon line there that says 100%. Domestic seats. So the number of seats being flown into the market by US flag carriers for this month is at 100% of where we were in September of 2019. That's amazing. And we actually have more nonstop markets than we did in September of 2019 because of some of the adjustments that the airlines have made due to business conditions, particularly the fact that it's hard to travel outside the country right now. So they've started to pump more flights domestically because the couple, some of us that might have gone to Europe, now you're taking your trip within the country. A lot of people want to come to Las Vegas. And you can see it's a little harder to see right there, but that October number is actually in excess of 100%. So we're doing very, very well on the domestic side. And that market is, again, 100% recovered. We're very, very proud of that. And I think all of you hopefully are feeling that in your own businesses as well. Next slide. Missing piece is international. So I spoke a moment ago about Canada and Mexico and where they were at with that. The market for international travel has been suppressed really by two key things. One, COVID, and there's certain parts of the world where people are still struggling very, very much with COVID, more so than we are here. And they're just not in position to travel, or maybe they're not allowed to travel based on government restrictions that they have there. But the largest obstacle, hurdle, suppressant, whatever the word might be appropriate, was that the White House had imposed restrictions on travelers coming to the United States for all but very, very limited circumstances. If you were traveling on a tourism visa or just for pleasure, not for business, not for certain types of things that were allowable, you couldn't go for the longest period of time. And it was both ways. Earlier in the summer, around June, the UK and the EU started to allow Americans to come into their countries and be able to travel. You had to show proof of vaccination. You had to take certain steps and things like that, but you could travel. But the United States was not reciprocating. We were not allowing those people to come back in. And I think people in our industry, hotel industry, anybody that really has a nexus to travel was frustrated by that, because I could go as an American citizen, visit a friend in Paris, sleep in their home, sip from the same cup. Couples could go and maybe meet with a partner that's living in Europe, all the things that people do. And at the end of that trip, the American could come home, but the European that they just spent all the time with, doing all the things close proximity, they could not come and visit. So from a scientific perspective, everybody looked at that. So that just, that doesn't make sense. I've sipped from the same cup, or a couple may have, been intimate, all these things that could happen, but yet one side of the equation could come home and the other couldn't. And thankfully, finally, a week ago Monday, President Biden announced that this was going to end. Now the next question is when, because the person from the White House that made the announcement said that these restrictions for tourism from Europe or from other parts of the world that had been banned will lift in early November. I was on the phone with an airline yesterday. I was on the phone with another airline the day before that. What does early November mean? We don't know. Is that the 1st? Is it the 9th? Is it the 10th? Are you really being liberal and calling it the 14th because it's the bottom half of the month? I don't know. But I've got airlines right now that are willing to come back, that have stated that they will come back on the 1st if they're able to. So the good news is KLM, which flies to Amsterdam, it's a major network carrier that you can connect all over Europe and Asia and all different places in that part of the world, Africa, the Middle East. They will be back on the 7th of December. They're the first ones that have come back with a hard date. Virgin Atlantic and British Airways, both to London, are talking about coming back on the 1st of November. Again, if early November means the 1st of November. So as soon as we know what that date is, as soon as we hear from the Biden administration, this is the date, they will plug the flights into the system, and we will then be able to see this missing piece really come back in earnest. Now, prior to COVID, we did have flights from China for a period of time. We had flights from Korea for a period of time. The Chinese airline is in all sorts of disarray. You're seeing these stories about China and the real estate collapse that's about to happen there. Well, one of the companies that's involved in fears over that is the one that operated the airline that was flying here. So I don't expect that we'll get China back anytime soon. The political rhetoric between the US and China is also not in a good place. Korea had been a long partner. I actually started working at the airport 15 years ago. And in the first week that I was here was when we welcomed Korean Air. I am hopeful that we'll be able to get them back because they've had a long-standing tenure. But again, in Asia right now, it's just not, it's not quite where it should be. We saw the Olympics, we saw Japan, we saw, a lot of these markets that would fly over still struggling. So we'll get that back soon, but that'll be a little bit more of a lead time. Europe is on the way. Next slide, please. Actually, before I move off that, the photo at the bottom in the corner was Rosemary. Rosemary actually was very, very vocal about this. With Senator Rosen, she spoke a couple of times to congressional committees, lobbying the White House, saying we need some sort of science-based, risk-based approach to reopening the tourism. So very, very proud that she was able to do that and fly the flag for Nevada and be able to try to get these things reopened, that ultimately is now on its way. Next slide, please. Conventions is another huge piece of business. So conventions can happen. They are occurring. We're actually planning for starting October 10th, 11th, 12th, that timeframe. A really big convention is going to be at the Las Vegas Convention Center and out at the Henderson Airport. A lot of very wealthy people with very, very fancy airplanes coming in. It's a business aviation convention. We're looking forward to SEMA and the automotive aftermarket parts show that's going to be coming in November. CES has said that they will be back in January. Now, in years past, that was 170,000, 180,000 attendees for CES, and typically a third of that was international. I don't believe that we will see those numbers again near term, particularly from the international side, particularly because so much of that traffic came from Asia, and Asia is just not in a good place right now. But it's encouraging to see that these things are moving forward. Very happy with the governor's approach to allowing certain businesses to make decisions if they want to have events, to where if you're vaccinated, you can require the people to be vaccinated. Therefore, people can come in and move about a little bit more. If your show is over 4,000 attendees, that's an option, which I think will get more people coming to some of these shows as well. Again, it's up to the operator to make those decisions of what they want to do, but the shackles are coming off. Things that have held us back are starting to break away, and that's again encouraging. So those little green lines that I showed you a few minutes ago will be even taller than they were in the images that you've seen before. Next slide, please. And again, this is another new territory for Las Vegas. CES, another leading measurement that we were able to do to see how busy the airport is the number of cars that are leaving the airport, i.e. taxis, Uber, Lyft, to get a feel for what's, people that are arriving and getting on those planes. Now, I don't know how many people got into these cars, whether it was 1, whether it was 5. It's not a good metric in terms of people. But in a 20-hour operating window that we have, on the busiest day that we've ever had in terms of arrivals, we had about 31,000 Uber, Lyft, and taxi vehicle movements off of the airport in 20 hours, which is incredible. Last Friday, 25,000. So we're not quite there, but far, far and away the busiest day that we've seen since the pandemic. And of course, it was going on last week. And you had a NASCAR race. You had the Raiders going 3-0. I can say that I'm a proud Raiders fan for a long time, or a frustrated Raiders fan for a long time, depending on how you see it. But with this stadium and with the ability to have convergent events, you have a Golden Knights game on top of a Raiders game, on top of a NASCAR race, on top of a concert. We are going to see things that we have never seen in this community before. And we get alerts sometimes talking about the west side of the airfield where Katie grew up, all of the private aircraft activity. And starting on Wednesday of last week, I was getting alerts saying that the private spaces were 70% full, 80% full on Wednesdays leading into these things. So this is where we're going, and it's exciting. It's going to be a challenge, but it's very, very impressive to see what Las Vegas is putting together again to carry us into this next decade and beyond. Next slide, please. What have we done to make people feel safe? Well, proud to say that there are a couple of industry metrics that have come forward. The GBAC STAR facility is something that if you're a convention center, a hotel, arenas have received this, a lot of airports have received this, but this means that you are meeting a very high standard of disinfecting and cleanliness within your organization, and we've achieved that. And the Safety First Clean is for smaller airports, our general aviation airports. So both our Henderson and North Las Vegas airports worked to meet those standards and to earn that recognition. We take it very, very seriously. We want people to feel comfortable and know that we're doing these things to be able to come through. The photo at the bottom on the right from where you guys are, she's spraying down the chairs. We used to do that. Disinfectant, spray the hard touch surfaces to be able to do that. We used to do it in the middle of the night. Bigger people don't want to walk through a cloud of chemicals or see this cloud of chemicals. When COVID started, the feedback we started getting was people wanted to see it. They don't believe you're doing it in the middle of the night. They don't know it. They didn't see it. So we actually shifted our practices and would start to do that in the middle of the day. You could get away with a lot more of it because there weren't that many people around. But again, the optics of that it's not just optics. There are serious steps that we're taking to be able to keep people safe and keep moving. Next slide, please. So what else do we need to do? We needed people to know that these things were happening. We needed them to be comfortable. We needed them to understand that this is a good time to travel. Don't let that be the reason that you don't travel because you're afraid. So how do you do that? Well, this is Las Vegas. So, we had been doing messaging early on since the beginning of the pandemic, but my director came in, Rosemary came in one day and says, we need a campaign. I said, okay, well, what do you want in the campaign? Well, I want this, this, and that. Okay, well, we've done all that already. She says, yes, but brand it, make it Vegas. So Christine, who works with me and some other men and women that work with us, came together and we came up collectively with this program that we called All In. And you can see bet against the spread. If you tap the one more slide, it'll advance to some others. We were very tongue in cheek with this, but we wanted to play it up Vegas style. So there's no limit to the care for our customers. Don't roll the dice, stay 6 feet apart. This is just a small sampling of some of the things that we did. And then the red or black, we're glad you're back. We did that when people started to come back in with the roulette wheel. Although we had some people that were offended by that because they thought we were singling out certain people and we weren't welcoming other people and had to explain to them the colors of a roulette wheel. There's always one, right? But we were very, very aggressive with this. You'd see it all over the airport. You'll still see it all over the airport. And I think one of the things that I'm very proud of was we got calls from a university. The one was in Sweden, right? In Chicago, the University of Chicago. Actually want to put this into textbooks and talk about case study examples of how do you do crisis communication, how do you brand and work well. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my team and the work that we put forward on that. I'm glad Rosemary came in and banged on my door and said do it in a themed manner. Next, please. We work, of course, very closely with the LVCVA. So this is a photo from the day in June when things had started to reopen and the governor had put in the mask requirements. So we brought showgirls out. We brought masks that were Las Vegas branded. We gave them away to people when they were arriving and coming off of their flights. So things like that, opportunities that people love Las Vegas. If you ever flown here, maybe on a Friday night coming home, and their party started when they got out of their taxi at the airport, wherever they live, right? You hear the Vegas screams and they're drinking and they're having a good time. We want that experience to carry forward in the right way. So we started to do that and tap into the iconic imagery of the community, showgirls and different things along those lines. And that was a big hit and it got people excited about Vegas reopening again as well. Next slide. This is another one. So the photo there you see Seagate's ugly carpet, boxy podiums that existed probably since the 1980s. If you tap that one more time, this is what it looks like today. So new flooring, much more sleek, power outlets in most seats, a lot of different things that modern amenities that the travelers would like to have. But we were planning to do this for the longest period of time. The challenge was Seagate's has about 50,000 people per day going through it on a normal day. How do you displace 50,000 people or shift them into space that now has half the room with the same number of people? We were really trying to figure out how we could sequence and phase that construction project. And then COVID rolled in. Oh, now we've got time. Now we've got opportunities to do this. So we moved forward. We worked with their airlines and talked about this. So we're going to spend about $13 million to get this going, but we're going to expedite it to get the work done during COVID. They were acceptable of that, we moved forward with it. Then we ran into a problem that we didn't anticipate. People came back faster than we thought. So now we're in the middle of this construction project. You've got all these gates down, and I'm having to have regular calls with Southwest and go, okay, yeah, we want you to grow, but some of those gates are still offline because of those improvements that we agreed to do. But at the end of the day, this is now done. And it's a much better experience for our customers when they come in. The sea gates opened in the mid 80s. They can get very crowded. There's still more work to be done, but an opportunity that we took advantage of given that downturn to make lemon out of lemonades, I guess, or lemonade out of lemons, excuse me. Next slide, please. This is another thing we like to brag about. I won't belabor this too much, but Las Vegas is the home to the only innovation checkpoint that the TSA offers in the United States. So what the TSA will do is periodically they will test new equipment, new procedures and practices. The way they used to test it was they bought an old postal facility that sits on the back of the yard out at Dulles Airport in Washington, or excuse me, Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C. They would test it, but like anything that you want to test that's customer facing, you're not going to get the same results when you're doing it in a lab environment. You know, somebody spills coffee, somebody has, you know, their shoes are in their bag and they were on a golf course, so there's fertilizer that sets off the nitrogen alarms that they think might be explosives. All these things don't happen in a lab. So what TSA wanted to do was to start to do these tests in real environment. But then what they would do is they might have company A's product in Albuquerque and company B is in Austin. And the Albuquerque traffic is very different than the Austin traffic, very different than the Chicago traffic. And they're not getting an apples to apples comparison because Chicago has business travelers and they know what they're doing. And Albuquerque has people that might take a trip once every 5 years and they're coming for a vacation and they don't know to take their shoes off at the checkpoint. All these things would happen. So what they wanted was an environment where they could do like for like. And Las Vegas was a perfect example of that because we have every kind of customer. You have your business travelers who are frequent savvy. You have your people that may take a trip once every couple of years. You have international, you have domestic, you have all of these things. So now they run these tests 5 days a week, only for a limited hour of time in Terminal 3. But if you're ever traveling in Terminal 3, ask at the checkpoint if you can use the innovation checkpoint. And what you'll do is you will see things there that will soon be at airports across the country because we are the testing ground for the entire world, or for the country, at least in terms of the United States. They used to have to go to Amsterdam to do these tests because the Amsterdam airport was the leading airport for such things. Now we have it in the United States at Las Vegas. Next slide. Finite space. So 2,800 acres is what McCarran is. In terms of major airports, it's very small. Obviously, you guys are familiar with Las Vegas. You've got Las Vegas Boulevard to the west, Tropicana and UNLV to the north, a lot of developments to the east, and then Sunset Road, and more importantly, the railroad. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to work with the railroad, but you're not going to move a railroad. So we have a very, very limited amount of room that we can grow at McCarran. Conservatively speaking, we would say we could probably do about 60 million passengers per year. My boss thinks we can maybe get to 63. I don't know if we're on the same page on that one. But if we're talking about 51.5 million 2 years ago, 2019, excuse me, there's not a lot of room left to grow. So then what happens? Well, normally you would add a runway. We don't have the room to add a runway. We have land and this little orange rectangle that you can see there, the line on the diagonal that's shooting in the lower left is state line. So this is basically between Jean and Prim. There's a dry lake bed. If you're heading to California, it's on your left-hand side. We own that land and it's about 6,500 acres right now. Through an act of Congress, Senator Reed pushed this through many, many years ago. We can get another 17,000 plus acres for compatible development, provided that we can pass the environmental review to build an airport in this site. So we are building toward that. It's a very tenuous and lengthy process to be able to do that with the federal government. But someday, if all goes well, there will be a second airport on that dry lake bed site south of Las Vegas, about 30 miles from where we are right now. It would not replace McCarran. I think a lot of people have the idea that we would shut McCarran down, do like what Denver did, close the downtown airport and move everything away. This would be more akin to a Dulles and a Reagan, a Midway and an O'Hare, any of the other communities that have multiple airports in their system. That's what the game plan would be for that. But that said, this is an extremely long process. Right now, in today's dollars, it's probably a $10 to $12 billion development. A lot of challenges and a lot of road between now and when that happens. But we do like to let people know that this is a viable project. It is something that we are working toward. And those of you that are in the real estate, commercial real estate particularly, they've got a lot of interest in this because if you can think about that, almost 20,000 acres of controlled development for master plan industrial site or for whatever else. We don't want housing for obvious reasons. Houses beget complaints because they don't like the noise of the planes, even though they bought a house by the airport. So we want to be able to control that. But this is where our future goes, provided everything works well. Best case scenario, we're talking 2035 before this can open, probably more realistically closer to 2038. So it's a long way off, but this is where we're trying to go. Next slide. And here are some of the steps of the process to it. So again, you can see that box in the right on the dark blue, years 9 to 15. We are in the middle of the tan box right now. So there's still a long way to go. But planning, environmental design, finance, construction, how do people get there? All of these things are challenges that we're trying to work through at this moment, provided again that it can pass the environmental muster to be able to move forward. So with that, I believe that was my last slide. Thank you. I don't know if time. Okay, Katie says we have time for questions. Siri, I can see your hand. I love making David work.
As the marketing guy, I'm curious to ask you about the impact of renaming the airport for Harry Reid. In 2014, the Washington Post, which is not exactly conservative, identified Harry Reid as the most loathsome, corrupt, and despicable politician in America. And it seems odd to, from a marketing point of view, to name the airport after someone like that.
So how do I spin this as a marketing guy? I will say this. The process of naming the airport in Clark County is controlled solely by the county commission. So we have 7 members of the county commission. They were all to some extent supportive of it because it was a unanimous vote. I think there was a little bit more strong support from some of them and maybe a little bit more unease from a couple of others. But in the end, the 7 members who have the authority to make the decision made the decision. And there are a lot of people that share the opinion that you shared. I work for those 7 people that made the vote, so I'll be very careful in terms of what I say with that. But I think there was some misunderstanding in the community also, because there was talk about that then it would go to the FAA for the process. And I think some hoped that maybe the FAA would weigh in and that they would stop this process from moving forward. But that's not the FAA's role. So the reality of it is that the 7 members of the county commission have the sole authority to move forward with that. They've made the decision to do that. Now, some people have asked us, why has it not happened yet? And this is a simple piece of explanation as well. When that action took place in February, when they voted on that, they implicitly stated that the costs of this would not be borne by the airport's budget, that it had to be supported solely by private donations. And they said that this was going to come forward very, very easily. The donors were all lined up. It was, pro forma, move forward, off we go. We then did some due diligence and put some estimates into what it would cost to make this happen. And we've come up with a figure. It's a rough figure. It's not a final figure by any means, but we're talking about $7.2 million. You have to replace signage. Even something as simple as the badges that we have are very complicated in terms of security requirements to go with that. The badges all have to be redone, a new logo, new uniforms, you name it. Signage on the roads. If you're out on I-15 by Tropicana, there's a sign that says McCarran Airport, turn left. All of those things. We figure conservatively, you're talking about $7 million to be able to make that go forward. We broke it into phases, 3 phases. The first phase, which would be the point where we would probably start taking some signage down and move forward, is about $4.2 roughly $million. And we're still not at that point yet when this vote happened in February. So if the money comes forward, the train will pull out of the station, but we're not there yet. Sir.
Thanks for the great update. Can you just follow up on the South Airport, Gene Airport? I thought from a presentation a long time ago that was more going to be geared towards cargo. Is that the case, or it's going to be passengers as well?
Yes, that is one of the longest standing myths in Las Vegas. And I wish I knew the origin of it because it sticks. It's like a good jingle that you can't get out of your head. And somebody was singing Tarby was singing the Western Airlines jingle earlier. Was it you? It was you. Oh, that's right. Okay. Rob was doing it. So, but he sang it and right away. I was like, Western Airlines. I remember that. Whoever put that seed into people's minds, like that movie Inception, you can't get rid of it, right? There was never enough cargo. There is not enough cargo in this community to support a cargo only airport. We do in a year what LAX does in the matter of a few weeks in terms of cargo. So it will be a full commercial airport with scheduled service. I don't know what airlines will go out there yet, but the likes of a Delta or a Southwest or a Virgin Atlantic, that type of service will be there. Now, certainly there will be opportunities for cargo to go there. And if that 23,000 acres is developed in a manner that we believe it will, big industrial parks, if you're from California, you can think of like the Fontana area near near Ontario Airport, or, the Inland Empire and some of the big industrial places that you see there. Perhaps there will be opportunity for more cargo to be created in Southern Nevada and then flown back out. But right now, we are strictly consumers for cargo. There's just not much that's made here to ship back out that would be able to support a full-time cargo operation.
So I just want to thank you for your branding. I think it's very well done. In this room, we also like a brand. It's over your left shoulder there. So if ever you want to show people who's coming into McCarran about a great civil service organization, there's a logo right there you can use.
And we do have a lot of space. The ad company that provides a lot of the Duratrans ads does do a lot of nonprofit advertising. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, let me know and I can hook you up with them and they can make space available for that. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris, for being here today. I'd like to present you with an award that we offer to our guest speakers. And unfortunately, it has Rosemary's name on it. But this, we present a pair of shoes to a needy child in your name. So that's, and we also have a 4-way trust coin for you. So
Awesome. Thank you so much.
thank you.
So I hope I wasn't Frank Sinatra Jr.
No, not at all. Good job. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.